He's so cute. These are not my best poems, but these are two that I'm trying to get finished. One of them I finished today on my lunch break. So we'll see. This is called The Laughter. My father's favorite thing about me is my laugh. This information was relayed through my mother one day when I was feeling a bit off. Daddy and I didn't always know how to talk. We skipped conversation for sporting events and silent meals eaten quickly. Eventually, I would give up on him and try to feel lucky that at least he was around. Two parents made me an envied statistic, and I attempted to be proud every time I wrote down my address. One neat little house made a family, and I let this be enough. But it was hard to walk down narrow hallways, brushing shoulders with someone whose eyes looked familiar, but whose name I had forgotten. 20 years of this silence, and he attempted to delete himself from life. On the last failed execution, I was having a birthday, showed up to secure hospital rooms several hours late. The smell of cleaning fluid almost made me vomit. He sat pristine in his white room and sang me happy birthday like some sort of deranged ghost. My mother left before the final verse. I stayed silent until he laughed. He laughed until the tears flew out of his eyes, until the IV in his arms started to flail, until the bed shook with the vibration. He laughed. He laughed until I started to laugh too. There we were, father and daughter, him a 55-year-old man who had attempted suicide more times than I had applied for a job, and me, just turned 21 and still hung over from a night of partying. We looked at each other and howled our dismay into the tiny cube of the special watch ICU. Really, at that point, what else were we to do? It was that laughter that got us through the next few months. When therapy got tough, when I felt abandoned, when my mother sat down on the stairs and cried because he had forgotten her name again. We laughed. We laughed because it was the only thing keeping us afloat, and we did it very well. I sounded like a wild animal, unable to control the volume or intensity of my explosions. My father loved it. He said he could hear me in his head long after I was through. Things are better now. The years have smoothed out and we have become boring again, my family and I. We have dinners and invite friends over. My father gooses my mother in the kitchen, and I try to talk about the people that I'm dating. But we don't talk about the laughter. We don't admit how it saved us from tragedy. I think we've all thanked our separate gods and moved on. Now we make more jokes, which gives us an excuse to laugh accordingly. Called my mother to give an update, and she asked, "Know what your father said about you the other day?" He said his favorite thing about you is your laugh. He said it could save a drowning man. She paused. I smiled. We both knew what she had left off at the end of that statement. We both knew, but like the laughter, we didn't talk about it.
Nice.
And this is brand new. I wrote the beginning of this in a little book, and then I went to the river, and the book got wet, and the ink, it turns out, was very water soluble, so it ran. And so I tried to make the rest of it up, and I finished this today. So let's see, this is first draft. Sweat the dancing after bedtime has ellipsed our logic, and this concrete floor is the platform of mischief. You are the foil to all my hindered breaths. The far-off glance in my periphery, we know there is much more to come. Through months of other mouths, we have soldiered disappointment and run fingers to palms to promises down backs during silent drives. Awkward with the word love, a slippery fish that means more than its scales. You stare at my bare shoulders and graze my knees at the bar. Safe call when others are around, for you are often mistaken for my sweetheart. It has taken a month of holidays to forget your face, naked in sleep, tossed against longing waves. There are no more available slivers in my heart for you to slide between, so I place you beneath my lungs. Every time you sigh, I inhale. Edit me. Clear my emotional debris until the power of sense turns on. There has been no light behind my eyes since you climbed the church and I knew it was over. Avoiding side cheek kisses as not to taste tears in the corner of our eyes. Postcards arrive from your current visitation. These places are much more exotic than my cracked metropolis. But you will leave those beaches behind with a few lines and a stamp. I have an existence that never sleeps. Eyes like streetlights, always guiding and on, prevent the sidewalk from scraping your humor. When the eviction notice comes, there will always be a place in my alleys and trash bins. Rest vagrant with me, so I can cut my love out from cardboard to make a shelter for your name. On this 4-ply Valentine, we scribble 2 names and a number. Under threadbare coats it turns cold, so we press our heads together and use this dancing to keep it warm.